All right, Shalom Israel. All right, Shalom family. Shalom to everybody that's been subscribing or watching or staying tuned to our channel. The water for watching, the water for everybody that's been coming to class in the physical, in the flesh, and also online. New York, Albuquerque, California, Guatemala, London. Shalom to all our brothers out there that teach this truth and edify the body of Christ, and try to gather and reinstitute faith in the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And so we want to say what a wonderful celebration and feast that we just commenced on, closing the Feast of Tabernacles.
Great.
Awesome. What a great time. Time well spent, fellowshipping, getting to know brothers and seeing brothers, and seeing a different side of men, sisters, not just in a class environment or work environment, but just on a fellowship environment. Just see the kids, the laughter, the fun, the excitement, the growth. Man, kids, I think, outnumbered almost everybody, as far as the participation of the kids, the excitement, the fun, the laughter. You heard kids laughing from the sun up, out in the woods, from sun up to sundown. You heard kids laughing. Even as early, it was kids out there at 6:30 in the morning outside playing, man. Wanted to say something, but obviously they don't get it in that much, so you might as well let them enjoy it. It was kids laughing at 6:30 in the morning, and we just commenced our Feast of Tabernacles, where we celebrate us in being in booths, being in tents. For those that may not understand what we're talking about, we were when we came out of Egypt. We came out of Egypt in tents, being mobile, on the move. Also known as the Feast of Sukkot. Sukkot also means booths. So this is a feast that the Most High said we commemorate, that all men participate in, for the fact of us commemorating the time where the Most High appeared and allowed us to escape captivity, because things written aforetime was written for what? Our learning. So we know also that in the same sense, the Most High said He requires that which is past, which is, in order for us to escape this captivity, we will be displaced and we will be uprooted. That's why the scripture also say that we will live as pilgrims. So this is our duty and our job to reinstitute these high holy days as reminders of what it's like to depend solely on the Most High and not on our oppressors, because that's what the escape of Egypt represented, depending solely upon the Most High for our survival. And that's always easier said than done. But to get out in that wilderness, and to get out in those woods, and stoke up a fire, and feed a multitude, you see how easily you can run out of provisions. We ran out of water quick. And then you can see how when the children of Israel ran out of water coming out of Egypt, after 3 days they was already complaining and crying. You can see that spirit, come about also when you run out of water. You know what I'm saying? Right. We had to go back and double up on the water. But man, it was a beautiful time, a beautiful moment, experience. And hopefully, if you haven't had an opportunity to celebrate that feast, please try to do so. It is the law of the Most High, and it was wonderful. So with that, let's go ahead and start the class. The class topic is, am I blind from within? So let's go ahead and get out your pen and paper, notes, notebooks. Of course, you can always rewind, go back to the class, go back to YouTube, watch it again, take notes, so on and so forth. But for those that are in class, Bibles, clipboards, apocryphas. For those that may come to class, that for brothers that are officers that are here, it shouldn't have to be said, hey, if somebody's brand new, that they need a Bible, an apocrypha, pen and paper. All right, so we should be jumping on that for somebody that's brand new. Make sure that they got what they need, not waiting for them to come up and ask, hey, I need a Bible. You know what I'm saying? Just be sharp, just walk circumspectly, be observant about, especially when we got new food coming in. All right, so with that, we were going to start off in Ecclesiastes chapter 48, verse 1, but let me go ahead and, we're going to read that, but let me go ahead and let me start in Matthew real quick. I want to start in Matthew, start on this point. Matthew 13 and 15. Let's get that real quick. Matthew chapter 13, and let's read that. Matthew chapter 13, verse 15. I'm going to put this up real quick. Let me go ahead and get it. Yeah. Let's start here. Topic of the class is, am I blind from within? All right. So let's go ahead and start there at Matthew chapter 13, verse 15.
Come.
We don't need the Josephus. No need for the Josephus unless Dawid, you got something that you want to bring out. And the Josephus we will. All right. All right, let's go ahead and read that. Matthew chapter 13, verse 15. Read that.
Come. Matthew chapter 13, verse 15 reads, "For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing."
He says this people's heart is waxed what?
Gross.
Gross. Go ahead. It's grown thick. Go ahead.
And their ears are dull of hearing.
That means that our people aren't receptive when it comes to hearing instruction. Our people aren't receptive when it comes to hearing what the Most High has to offer, or as far as chastisement, discipline. We can't hear it. Go ahead.
And their eyes they have closed.
Go ahead. And it says, in our eyes they have what?
Closed.
And it's not talking about just the inability to not hear, like to be mute or to be deaf. Mute meaning not to speak, but deaf meaning not to hear, or blind meaning I can't see. He's not just talking from a physical standpoint. Christ is not referencing this from a standpoint of, oh, you don't have the capability of hearing and you need a hearing aid, or you need somebody to do sign language to you. It's not that case in particular. Of course, there are some people that way, but he's talking about on an inward sense. Our people are blind and deaf on an inward sense. So he's talking about it's within the mind, it's within the heart. So there is a blindness and there is a deafness that goes beyond just the aspects of the senses, the senses of touch, taste, smell, feel. Touch, taste, hear, smell, and to feel. So just those five senses. Beyond that, go ahead.
Come. And their eyes they have closed.
Go ahead.
Lest at any time.
It says, and their eyes they have what?
Closed.
They have closed.
I can't really see, because people think blindness means everything is just black. A lot of times blind also means that things are just shapes. You can't clearly define anything around you.
Right. And also when he says that this is within their heart is waxed gross, he's talking about their eyes they have closed. That means I have closed my mind so that I don't want to see what people are telling me or trying to show me. I don't want to see what the Most High is trying to show me. I don't want to hear what the Most High has to say. This grossness and this deafness. Finish it out and I'll explain. Go ahead.
Come. Lest at any time they should see with their eyes.
It says lest at any time they should see with their eyes. It may sound confusing, but it's not. What he's saying is that some people only hear what they tell themselves. That's what people hear. People don't hear anything outside other than what they tell themselves. Meaning they only listen to themselves. They only hear what they come up with and what they tell themselves and what they agree to. That means if I don't agree with what you're telling me, then I don't hear what you have to say, because I only trust my ability, which is my hearing. Not anything else outside of this, I can't receive it. Or I only trust my level of understanding. I only trust the things that I see or I comprehend. And if it doesn't make sense to me, what you're telling me, then I can't agree to it and I can't believe it, therefore I cannot see it. So this is a form of deafness and a form of blindness that a lot of our people possess. They only believe what they can see or understand or comprehend, and they can't embrace anything new other than what makes sense to them. And that's a form of blindness. Or I only hear what I tell myself, and that's a form of deafness. And this is something that inhibits our people from forward progress. This is something that stops our people from growing, overcoming obstacles, receiving correction, moving past infirmities, developing themselves in instruction, through instruction, adding on talents to themselves, building on top of gifts and things that they previously didn't possess. How can you add anything to yourself if you only believe what you know so far? And you're apprehensive when it comes to receiving instruction or new information. And especially when it comes to information that pertains to criticism or to correction. That information is always hard pressed to receive, because who are you to criticize me? Who are you to judge me? Who are you to tell me? You got your own issues, which is true. So there is a form of stubbornness, blindness, and deafness that persists with our people, that Christ is saying it starts from within, and it goes from within ourselves. He says, lest they should what?
Lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I shall heal them.
So he says there's a transition that must take place. And there has to be a willingness to hear, a willingness to see, and a willingness to understand outside just what you naturally perceive with your own eyes, outside of what you hear, from what you tell yourself, and outside your level of comprehension and what you understand. And you have to want to embrace those things and see things from a different perspective. Then Christ said, I should heal them at that point. There has to be a desire and a want to go beyond just your normal scope of perception, and just the ideas and the imagination that you have created and tell yourself. So from there now, let's go to somebody else. Go to Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha, and let's read chapter 48 and start at verse 1.
So part of being blind is like, in that sense, what you were saying is, I can only hear my own voice.
That's the only voice I listen to, and I only listen to my voice, and I only listen to what I tell myself, and I only take in what I can comprehend. If I can't comprehend something, if it doesn't make sense, if what other people are telling me about me doesn't make sense to me, or if I don't agree to it, then I shut it off. So and our people stay in this limited posture of development. Then at this point, I can only grow so far after this point.
That's true.
I'm bound to only move at a snail's pace. I'm bound to only see things, because how can I add on something to myself if I only listen to myself? All the other influences, criticism that I could be adding on, or disciplines that I could be adopting, I fail because I don't agree to it. I don't agree that I need that. I don't agree that that's wisdom. I don't agree that that's my problem. So all these things that I could be fixing within myself and working on, I fail. So my development is at a snail's pace. I'm crawling in my development. I'm not moving forward. I'm stunting my own growth.
It's almost like I'm doing myself a disservice.
Very much so.
You're not even serving yourself. Because people think in their mind, I'm rebelling against you. Ha ha ha! I don't have to listen to you. Ha ha ha! I don't have to do what you say. Ha ha ha!
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do it my own way. Ha ha ha! I'm gonna get pleasure by making sure you know that I'm doing what I want to do against your best wishes. Ha ha ha! That mindset is the mind of a child. But in a grown person operating like that, what they're not seeing is that you're actually laughing at yourself. Because the way you're doing things is not going to work, or the Most High God's not going to bless your decisions, because the spirit you made the decision in.
Very much so.
It was the spirit of blindness that you were dealing with.
Con. Very much so, man. Great point. Read that.
Ecclesiastes 48, verse 1. Then stood up Elias, the prophet, as fire.
And it said Elias is Elijah. In the Greek, that's Elias. Go ahead.
Then stood up Elias, and the prophet, Then stood up Elias, the prophet, as fire, and his word burned like a lamp.
It says the Most High put the spirit of fire, heat, into Elijah's mouth, to where the people that he dealt with, it burned, but it didn't burn just on the physical sense. Yes, it did. The Most High did give Elijah the ability to call down fire from heaven. So he was able to burn them up in that fashion also. But what Elijah was able to do was to tell people the truth about himself.
He was known for that.
And this is why Elijah even said, how long ye be betwixt two opinions? Either serve the Most High or serve Baal. You know what I'm saying? He had no problem telling people the truth about themselves. And that his word burned like a fire. Read on.
He brought a sore famine upon them, and by his zeal he diminished their number.
Go ahead.
By the word of the Lord he shut up the heaven.
It said by the word of the Lord he stopped the rain from coming down. Read on.
And also 3 times brought down fire.
And not only once, twice, but 3 times brought down what?
Fire.
Fire from heaven. He was able to. This is how powerful Elijah was. Elijah was powerful enough to call on the Most High because he believed that much. And he was connected with the Most High enough to where when he called upon the Most High as needed, the Most High would bring fire down at his command. That's powerful, bro. Read on.
His words were crazy. He said, "If I be a prophet."
Yeah.
Before he did any move, it's just like, if I be a prophet, I mean, if the Most High is with me,
Right.
then can you do me this favor and bring this fire down from heaven?
Man.
That's how he talked.
Yes.
Before his statement, he asked for the Most High to do that miracle for him. He said, if I be a prophet, bring the fire down from heaven and burn these people.
Yes,
Wait.
sir.
Yes, sir.
No, right there, that was when he was calling out them other so-called prophets and they, well, call on your God, see what they can do.
Yeah. Let's find out whose God is the real true God.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He laughed and he mocked at the prophets of Baal, you know, as they cut themselves with rocks and sharp stones and bleeding out, praying and crying, calling on their God.
It's a carnal
He
sacrifice.
was like, where are they?
Yeah, where are they? They must be asleep. He said, you gotta speak louder so they can hear you. They might be asleep. He was mocking them because he understood who was the real true power. But this man had this ability to be evidently it was evident that he was a prophet of the Most High. Read on.
Ecclesiastes 48 verse 4. O Elias, how wast thou honored in thy wondrous deeds?
It says that he was honorable in his wondrous deeds. Go ahead.
And who may glory like unto thee?
He said there's not many prophets that even stood on Elijah's level. There wasn't many that was even as potent as Elijah was. Remember, Elijah was so potent that the Most High, he walked with the Most High like Enoch.
Like Enoch.
Only 2 men didn't die in the Bible, Enoch and Elijah. But he still died because he came back as who? John the Baptist, and got beheaded. So he still caught that death. You know, but he still tasted that death. But he was that powerful where the Most High required that his spirit return, just as another man. But that's how powerful he was. Jump down to verse. Just read on real quick.
Ecclesiastes 48 verse 5. Who didst raise up a dead man from death,
He raised up men up from death. Read on.
and his soul from the place of the dead,
Read on.
by the word of the Most High.
By the word of the Most High, Elijah was able to do all this. Jump down to verse 13.
Ecclesiastes 48 verse 13. No word could overcome him, and after his death his body prophesied.
It said even after his death, his body prophesied. Read on.
He did wonders in his life, and at his death were his works marvelous.
Go ahead.
For all this the people repented not.
Oh, wait a minute.
Wow.
Wait a minute. Elijah did all this in front of the people.
They saw miracles.
They saw miracles. Once again, there goes Israel witnessing notable miracles that the Most High is providing them, and they said they still didn't what?
Repented not.
They still didn't change. That means you could call fire from heaven in front of the Israelite people, and they still won't repent. That means you could raise up the dead out of the ground, off their deathbed,
That's crazy.
and they still won't repent. That means you could have you could go up in a whirlwind where people observe you get taken by chariots of fire that come down in a whirlwind and pick you up and take you up to the Most High, and people still don't believe what they see. They can see 450 prophets of Baal get burnt like fire to a crisp. And
Well, one time they looked legitimate.
yeah,
It wasn't like they weren't legitimate looking.
yeah.
It split the nation where we don't know who to follow.
And so you got all this amazement, all this wonderful examples of faith and belief, all these miracles that the Most High is providing the people, And it said the people still didn't what?
Repented not.
Read that again. Verse 15.
God. For all this, the people repented not.
Damn, no matter how great Elijah would have been, Elijah could have stayed on earth and did 100 more miracles. And the people still wouldn't have what?
Repented not.
They still won't repent. Why don't people change regardless of what you tell them and regardless of what you show them? There's got to be something to where there's a resistance, or there has to be an impediment or an obstacle, or there has to be a stumbling block upon our people where no matter what you tell them or no matter what you show them, they just refuse to receive instructions and they refuse to change. Read verse 15 again.
Ecclesiastes 48, verse 15. For all this, the people repented not.
It says, for all this, the people what?
Repented not.
It says, for all this, the people repented not. Read on.
Neither departed they from their sins.
It says, neither did they give up their what?
Sins.
So, you could yell, you could fight, you could pray for, you could do miracles in front of, but it's very hard for our people to give up their sins. Very difficult. It's very difficult for our people to change their ways. And this is just showing you the stiffness of mind that our people possess. The grossness of mind that Christ was referring to, that our people possess. The inability to hear. The hearing is dull. The eyes are blind. Read on.
Neither departed they from their sins.
Go ahead.
Till they were spoiled and carried out their own land.
Until the Most High got fed up with them and cast them out of their own land. The Most High sent the prophets to warn them of the change necessary to keep the Most High in good standing, or for the Most High to keep them in good standing. What it takes for the Most High to have His presence near you. And they said that they wouldn't do it. They provoked the Most High to cast them out of their own land. Read on.
And were scattered through all the earth.
And they got scattered throughout all the earth. Read.
Yet there remained a small people,
Read
and
on.
a ruler in the house of David.
Go ahead.
Of whom some did that which was pleasing to the Most High.
And you know what? There was a small number, that did that was what?
Pleasing to the Most High.
So it did make a difference. Probably not as grand of a difference that you would think that it would make, especially for the fact of all the miracles that we just read about that Elijah was doing. He said a small number of people retained that integrity. Some said, you know what? I've seen enough. I'll believe. Read on.
And some multiplied sin.
And some went even further into their negative.
They went harder.
They went harder into their sins.
But despite seeing the whirlwind, despite seeing all the prophets get killed, they were negative.
Mm-hmm. Despite all that, I still go harder in my opinion. I still grow more dull in my hearing. That's scary. But what is it? What is it that's causing this? So we gotta look at the root source. Ecclesiastes 17 and 16. Somebody read that. Somebody else read that. Somebody else read Romans 3 and 10. Let that go. Somebody read Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha 17 and 16. Somebody else read Romans chapter 3 verse 10.
Ecclesiastes 17 and verse 16.
Somebody else get Ecclesiastes in the Bible chapter 7 verse 20. Somebody get Ecclesiastes 17 and 16. You got that? Somebody else get Romans chapter 3 verse 10, and somebody else get Ecclesiastes in the Bible 7 and 20.
Romans 3 and 10.
Yes, sir. And Ecclesiastes 7 and 20. Let's read that.
Ecclesiastes 17 and verse 16. Every man from his youth is given to evil.
Hey, what's wrong with man?
Every man from his youth is given to evil.
So what's wrong with man?
Every man from his youth is given to evil.
So what's the problem? Where does man's problems begin?
Their youth.
They begin in their youth.
Oh, youth.
They begin in their birth. It says, Scripture says, in sin did my mother what? Conceive me. So, born a sinner. So, it says, every man in his youth is what?
Is given to evil.
Go ahead.
Neither could they make to themselves fleshly hearts for stone.
They couldn't make to themselves.
Right.
Key point. I can't get past me.
I can't get past me. And as long as you see life through your perspective, through your opinion, through your imagination, and through your lens, which is your eyes,
Yeah.
you'll never get past you. And as long as you listen only to you, you'll never get past you.
That's crazy, though.
You could never be converted. You can never be converted if you only listen to yourself. You can never be converted, and your heart won't be converted from stony to fleshly if you can't eliminate that grossness of mind that's in the heart of the children of Israel.
Which is solely listening to myself.
Yep.
Solely listening to my own opinion, my own inclinations.
Yep. Because the scriptures say foolishness is bound in the heart of a what?
Fool.
Of a child. That means that me listening to me is me not disconnecting the foolishness. Because then when you ask somebody why do they do what they do, even a child, they don't know. I was just sad. So I just threw the fish tank off the wall, off the pedestal. I was angry. I don't know. I was upset. I just got mad. I walked down the street. I don't know. They don't know why they do what they do. But you know what? When you analyze even adults, they still don't even sometimes know why they do what they do.
When I do this.
I don't know. Because you can give them instruction, and they'll deliberately break the instruction, and then come back and say, "Well, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know why something told you to do it, but it wasn't based upon anything outside of what you tell yourself." So this from youth. The problem is generated within our people. It starts early in our people. It starts from you never accepting anything other than what you see and what you believe and what you understand. And this is why some grown men and women act like children.
Yeah.
Read it again.
My decisions are solely based off of what I'm feeling at the moment.
Yep. And by doing so, I can't change myself. You can listen to yourself all you want, but your heart will never change.
Yeah.
You can see life through your lens, but your heart will never change. Your heart will never change. See it, talk it like you see it. Believe it like you see it. But that doesn't mean you're going to change. That can't convert. Your way of doing things cannot convert yourself. The Most High didn't make it that way. He didn't make it to where you can convert yourself. You need the outside influence of the people around you, like Elijah, like all the prophets, like all the patriarchs, like Yahushua, just like Christ. You need a combination of all these individuals and the governors, tutors, teachers, leaders, preachers. How did the Most High make this thing to where you can be converted? Romans 10 and 13 says what? Somebody read that real quick.
Romans 10 and 13.
Mhm.
Romans 10 to be 10.
Somebody, I know, we're going to go to Romans 3 and 10. We'll go to Romans 13 and 10 real quick.
God, Romans 13, verse 10. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor.
No, let me get 10 and 13. Is that where you at?
God, that's the first one you said.
Yeah, let me get, hold on.
Oh, you said to like it. 10 13.
10 and
to like
13,
it.
bro.
Like it.
Hold on.
Was it 3 and 10?
10 and 13. No, it's 10 and
God.
13. We're going to come back
Romans
to 3
10,
and 10.
verse 13.
We're going to come back to Romans 10, 3 and 10 also. Go ahead.
For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Most High shall be saved.
Go ahead.
Verse 14. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed?
How you going to call on the Most High if you have not believed? Read.
And how shall they believe in whom they have not heard?
Oh, wait a minute. How can you believe in whom you have not what?
Heard.
Heard. So you need, in order to believe on the Most High, what must be done?
You have to hear.
You have to hear. Not see things your way. You have to be instructed. You have to hear. Read on.
And how shall they hear without a preacher?
No, you can hear by yourself.
Without a preacher.
No, you can believe in the Most High by yourself.
Without a preacher.
It says, how can they hear without a what?
Without a preacher.
So how did the Most High make it necessary for you to increase your belief and learn to do what's pleasing to Him?
A preacher.
By hearing who?
Preacher.
No, but your own opinion. So I could just get into a mirror and I could just preach to myself. I could read to myself and preach to myself.
Self.
And I could convert myself by preaching to myself.
I thought you said you couldn't do that.
You can't do that.
You
I'm
can
being,
or can't?
you cannot. I'm being
okay.
facetious.
Oh, okay.
You cannot do it.
Okay.
But people, for some reason, believe that they themselves have the answers for themselves. And it doesn't work that way.
And like you said earlier, you said that mindset is sure for you to be growing at a snail's pace,
Yep. Or not growing at all.
or not little to no growth at all.
Yeah. And I still can't turn and convert my heart from stony to fleshly. There are certain things that's needed for change to happen, and for your belief in the Most High to increase, and for the Most High to take pleasure in what you're doing. He says, and how can they hear without a what?
Without a preacher.
So, yeah, there's things needed for your development. You weren't made to be by yourself, listening to yourself, seeing things the way you comprehend it and understand it, and expect some magnanimous change from a stony heart to a fleshly heart. Doesn't work that way. That's not how the Most High designed it. And that's why our people are limited in what they're able to do, and why they stay in that position of posture, or whether they multiply sin, they get even worse. It's because they can't embrace the preaching, because they don't want to hear what the preacher has to say.
And they evade it. They evade.
And because they don't hear what the preacher has to say, they don't call upon the Most High appropriately. Why would I call upon the Most High when I think I got the answers?
True.
When I believe what I tell myself, why would I need to call on the Most High? My God is me. My God is my opinion. My God lives between my two ears. My God lives behind my eyeballs. So why would I call upon the Most High then? So that's not how things are set up. Next verse. Romans chapter 3 verse 10. Let that go.
Got it. Romans chapter 3 verse 10.
Mm-hmm.
As it is written, there is none righteous.
So what must I understand about myself?
There is none righteous.
If I'm going to turn and convert my heart from stony to fleshly, and not be blind from within, or deaf from within, I got to recognize that what?
There is none righteous.
That there's what?
There is none righteous.
That my way is right.
None.
There is none righteous.
The wisdom that I possess is correct.
None.
There is none.
The way I see things is correct.
There is none righteous.
Read on.
No, not one.
At least me.
Not one.
At least based on my education.
Special.
I'm different. I'm different from you other brothers. You other brothers got these problems. I don't got them problems. You brothers see things a certain way. I wish y'all could get on my level.
Yeah.
I wish y'all could be where I'm at. From the perch that I sit on, I see all things. From the lofty position that I stand on, I've obtained inner peace and wisdom, philosophy.
I'm a scholar.
I'm a scholar. I've obtained the wisdom of the ancients, man.
By myself.
By myself. Yeah.
I've taught the Greek.
The Dalai Lama, right?
I fought the good fight.
Yeah. So this is how you know how disconnected. That's why Christ said our people's hearts wax gross, man. Something's wrong with them. They don't realize that nobody's righteous, not one. Read on.
Verse 11. There is none that understandeth.
He said, wait a minute. I thought I understand some.
There is none that understandeth.
He said, there's how many that understand?
There is none that
There's
understandeth.
one.
There is one. There's only one. It is I, says me. There's not one that understands. Bro, your understanding is whack. Everybody should understand that their understanding is dull. Your ability to hear instruction, dull. Your perception, dull. Your comprehension, dull. Your ability to read people, dull. Your ability to see intentions of people, dull. Your ability to know how to please the Most High, dull. Your ability to do what's right, dull. Our people don't comprehend that. And this is what slows down the development, and this is what slows down their ability to convert from one mind frame to another, to get out of themselves and escape their own selves. their own flaws and their own sins. We're given a sin since our youth, but it's your responsibility to convert out of that. You can't convert out of that only by listening, believing, and hearing yourself. You cannot do that. When you detach yourself from the preachers around you, from the tutors around you, from the governors around you, from those that are there to watch over your soul, when you detach yourself from those individuals, or you desire not to listen or hear or believe or see, you said earlier, you become an enemy to yourself.
Not even knowing it.
Don't even know it. Because what you don't understand is you don't have what it takes to convert your own self. Read? Yes, sir.
Full verse.
What you got?
Jeremiah 10:23.
Go ahead.
Jeremiah 10 verse 23. O Lord, I know that the way of man is not in himself. It is not in man that walketh to direct his steps.
He says the way of man is not in himself, man. Man don't have the answers. Man doesn't know how to carry himself, direct his own steps. That's why Proverbs 3 and 5 says what?
Lord with all thine heart,
Yeah, I don't understand.
and not to your own understanding.
And then he said what?
Shall bow.
What about the rest? What about the rest? Read
I got the rest of it.
Read on a little bit. Go ahead.
Proverbs 3 and verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him.
And what?
Acknowledge him.
In all thy ways, do what?
Acknowledge him.
In everything you do, you acknowledge who?
Most High.
Because you have to disacknowledge yourself.
That's crazy. I can't do that.
But I can't do that
I'm the one.
because I'm the one. You know what that means? If I disconnect from acknowledging myself as being correct, that means I'm wrong. Who wants to be wrong? Who wants to walk around not being incorrect? Nobody want to do that.
Nobody wants to do that.
Read on. No, leave that. Let it go. Go back. Go back to where we at. It says, no, not one.
God, there is none that understandeth.
It said, how many understand?
There is none that understandeth.
Read on.
There is none that seeketh after the Most High.
It said, nobody really knows how to seek after the Most High. Because if you know how to seek after the Most High, then you'll follow the footsteps of those that the Most High put in front of you to follow. The scriptures say, though he were a son, yet he learned through what? By obedience. Even though Christ was the Son of the Most High, he still had to follow the Most High and be obedient to his instructions, even though he was the one. He was the one. Christ was the one. But he still had to do what?
Obey.
He still had to obey. The word obey means to follow.
Said to follow.
He's
the
and
most high.
he was the one.
Oh,
And he still got to follow.
that's crazy.
And he still had to be obedient.
Christ of all beings.
You would think that the one, the only begotten of the Father, that the Most High even said, this is my beloved Son, the only begotten of the Father, hear ye him. In him I'm well pleased.
the firstborn of all things living.
Yeah. He said even him, he had to learn how to stay in order. He couldn't do what he wanted to do. He couldn't listen to himself. Neither could he follow his own will. What makes people think that if the Most High got Christ in a posture where he has to be obedient and following, you don't have to.
Wow.
But you'll convert yourself from a stony heart to a fleshly heart. Right. Sure. It's not going to happen. Read on.
Verse 12. They are all gone out of the way.
He said what?
They are all gone out of the way.
No, I know the right path to walk on.
They're all gone out of the way.
They are all gone out the way.
Read.
They are together become unprofitable.
He said you could add them all up and together they become what?
Unprofitable.
You would think if I got $50 and I put it together with another $50, that gives me what? That would give me $1. The Most High said if you add them all up, they still don't have no value.
All the ones, right?
All the ones that think they got it, they still add up to nothing.
God. In the eyes of the Most High.
And that's the truth. But that's not what we tell ourselves. Neither is that what we believe. And you know it's not what we believe by what we do and how we operate. and how we treat people. Ecclesiastes 7:20. Read that.
Ecclesiastes in the Bible, chapter 7 and verse 20.
Let everybody get it.
Come.
Read that.
Come. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 20. For there is not a just man upon the earth.
Wait a minute. There's
Oh.
got to be one of them.
One, at least one.
It's got to be at least one. Somebody out there's got to be righteous, man. We just ain't found them yet.
Yep. That 1 point brother is out there doing it.
It's got to be a great one that the Most High has brought forth back to the earth.
He was born with the ephod out.
Yeah, he had the ephod. He was born in the sky split when he was born. You know what I'm saying? He was born. He came out the womb on his own. He cut his own umbilical cord. Read.
For there is not a just man upon the earth that doeth good, and sinneth not.
That's not
Oh
true. That's not
man,
true.
that can't be true.
That was back then.
That's gotta be at that time. No, not right now, man. Not in 2022. Somebody got to get it right by now. Read.
Verse 21. Also take no heed unto all words that are spoken,
He said, but listen, man. Don't take heed to all words that are spoken. Read.
lest thou hear thy servant curse thee.
Go ahead.
For oftentimes also thine own
Whoa,
heart.
whoa, whoa, whoa. He says, don't listen to everything you hear, because you might hear something you don't want to hear. You might hear your servant doing what?
Curse thee.
He said, you might hear your servant curse you. Now, what's the point of this verse? Read on.
For oftentimes.
It says, for many times. What's the point of this verse? Not that you hear somebody curse you. So you don't listen. You don't listen because other people may say bad things about you. That's not the point of this verse. The point of this verse is this next part. He says, for oft times what?
For oftentimes also thine own heart knoweth that thou thyself likewise hast cursed others.
What's the point of this verse?
Our
Don't
benefits?
be hyper analytical on other people's offenses, because you know you probably offended somebody else without them knowing it yet.
It depends on how you see yourself. See, if I can believe this if I know I'm full of mistakes. I can believe this if I know I'm a sinner. See, I can believe this if I can recognize my own flaws. But if I think that I'm not a sinner, and I think that I'm on point, and I think that other people need the things that I don't, and I can see things from an elevated position, and I got more wisdom than others, and I'm holier than thou, then this doesn't make sense to me. I can't apply this to myself because I think that I'm not that bad of a person. So because I feel like I'm not that bad of a person, I can't recognize my flaws and my offenses that I do to other people, but I can see the other people's flaws and their mistakes and their offenses better than I can see my own.
You got a beam in your eye.
I got a beam in my eye. See, the point of this verse is for those hypercritical people. People that scrutinize other people but have no ability to see the wax in their own ears, or the stubbornness in their own heart, or the inability to be obedient within their own mind, or to embrace comprehension or criticism outside of what they tell themselves. See, a lot of people have this distortion or this inability to actually analyze themselves. They don't have a self-awareness of how bad they really are. Now, we just went through a few scriptures just to show there's nothing really right about us at all. There's none righteous. No, not one. Right? That's what you read, Nathaniel? But for a hypercritical person or people, they don't really take the time to look at themselves. But they can damn sure see everything wrong with everybody else.
To the 9.
To the T, bro. I can give you a breakdown of your issues, but I can't give you the same breakdown of mine. I can list 10 to 15 things wrong with you, but I can only come up with maybe 3 of what's wrong with me. Is there not an imbalance here?
There
That
are
means-
like things. I care too much.
Yeah.
I give too much.
I trust too easy.
I trust too easy.
Yeah.
Those are some of my problems. Like, it's a compliment you're giving yourself.
Yeah, right.
Right. These are my issues.
Yeah.
I'm too generous.
I'm too generous with my money.
I'm too loving.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm like this. That I know this gets me into trouble.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, bro. Verse 22 again.
Ecclesiastes in the Bible, chapter 7, verse 22. For oftentimes also thine own heart, note that thou thyself.
It says, oft times thine own heart, meaning you got to have inventory of yourself. You have to take inventory of yourself. It says, if you take inventory of yourself, you'll see that within your own self, within your own heart, what?
Look. For oftentimes also thine own heart knoweth that thou thyself.
You know, meaning you're conscious, but you lie to yourself. That means you know that you have an ill perspective towards people, but you don't acknowledge it. You know you got hate in your heart. You know you got covetousness in your heart. You know you got anger, disgust, but you won't acknowledge it. But you damn sure will acknowledge other people's. But you won't acknowledge your own. Right? Read on.
That thou thyself likewise hast cursed others.
So the best thing in life is to start doing an inventory within yourself. That's the best thing that any man or woman could do, is to start doing an inventory of yourself. Take inventory of your flaws. Take inventory of your mistakes. Take inventory of the things that you fall short in and that you don't do well. Stop looking at what other people don't do right. Start looking at what you don't do right. This is the first step to even having a desire to convert that stony heart to a fleshly heart. You got to start being honest with yourself. And the Most High wants this out of everybody. How do we know this? Somebody go to Hebrews chapter 5, start at verse 1. Somebody else give me Matthew chapter 3, verse 5.
Hebrews chapter 5, verse 1.
Yeah. Somebody else go to Titus chapter 1, verse 16. All right, read that.
For every high priest taken from among men.
All right, everybody got it? We're in Hebrews chapter 5, and we're in verse 1. Read that.
For every high priest.
Now stop right there. He said for every what?
For every high priest.
He said for every high priest. Now what's a high priest? Obviously you got to be from whose lineage? You got to be out of Levi's lineage, and you do the sacrifices and atonement for sins for the nation of Israel. You're the one to perform the sacrifices to appease the Most High's wrath, and setting up the sacrifices as a propitiation or an atonement for mistakes that people make. So the Most High don't bring forth His wrath upon us. So you stand as that mediator between people's errors and the Most High. You're there to ask the Most High, set forth the petitions for forgiveness of sins, so that this person can walk away and not be put to death for their mistakes. Mm-hmm. So you stand in that middle ground, that mediator between the Most High and the people. So he said, every what?
For every high priest taken from among men is ordained for men.
He said, why does the Most High set up a priest?
Because he's ordained.
For who?
For men.
For men.
Who is he for?
For men.
So the Most High set up this priest to help get our people in line to recover their offenses. And he put a high priest in place, but for whose sake?
For men.
He says for man's sake.
So was the Most High wrong in his concept?
Nah, the Most High is not wrong in his concept. So there was a duty that was supposed to be performed by the high priest.
Exactly.
And every duty that he performed was for the sake of keeping the Most High at peace with the people, and the people in good standings with the Most High. It's for the people. I put this high priest there for you. I put this high priest there so that you don't violate my commandments and my laws. And if you do, I can look at you in a positive manner, and I can not kill you for your errors and destroy you for your sins. Read.
For men, and things pertaining to the Most High.
Read.
That he may offer both gifts and sacrifices for sin.
And that was the high priest's job. I'm giving the Most High gifts. I'm giving the Most High sacrifices to atone for the errors of man, the transgressions and the sins of man. Somebody has to atone for those errors and those sins. Read on.
Who can have compassion on the ignorant?
Now, why did he pose this question right here? Why did he pose this question after bringing out the purpose and position of the high priest? He says, who can have compassion on who? On the ignorant. Read on, meaning the untaught or unlearned. What is compassion? Somebody give me the definition of compassion. Somebody give me the definition of compassion.
Compassion, from the Webster 1828 Webster Dictionary. A suffering with another.
A what?
A suffering with another.
A suffering with what?
Another.
Go ahead.
Painful sympathy.
Painful sympathy. Painful sympathy. Now, a high priest is in there performing these sacrifices so that they can atone for sins. He says, but who can have compassion on the who?
The ignorant.
Which is a suffering with another, a painful sympathy, or what else?
A sensation of sorrow excited by the distress or misfortunes of another.
Is that what you got? What you got?
Compassion, a feeling of deep sympathy and sorrow for another who is stricken by misfortune.
Who is stricken by what?
Misfortune.
Who is stricken by misfortune. Go ahead.
Accompanied by a strong desire to alleviate the suffering.
So it says accompanied by a strong desire to alleviate what?
The suffering.
The suffering. Man, I like that. You got something better than that? I don't think so. That's a good one. If you do, bring it out.
Nah, I mean, nah.
But if that's fire right there. You know what I'm saying? That's fire. You got something better than that?
Compassion.
Hold on. You got something better than that, Kariah? It better be better than that. Go ahead.
He's the one.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
What you got?
Compassion, a humane quality of the understanding the suffering of others and wanting to do something about it.
No.
Show pity.
No. That ain't it. They don't hit the same. It's good. It's good. It's good. But
I'm gonna bring it out still.
Yeah.
We saw the
You read that again, y'all out?
Compassion, a feeling of deep sympathy.
It said a feeling of deep sympathy. Go ahead.
And sorrow for another.
Go ahead.
Who is stricken by misfortune.
He's stricken by what?
Misfortune.
Read on.
Accompanied by a strong desire.
And not only do I have this deep sorrow, but it's accompanied with what?
A strong desire.
A strong desire. What?
To alleviate.
To alleviate what?
The suffering.
Man, that's powerful. Write that down. That's the gold standard of compassion, man. The definition. That's beautiful. Man, it's not even that I feel bad for what you're going through. I want really bad for you not to suffer or feel the pain that you are suffering.
And that means
I've attached myself to your suffering where I want you to be alleviated from it.
And that means sometimes we have to do it the Most High's way because people want to do it the carnal way.
Yeah.
They want to alleviate the suffering. Have this drink. I'm gonna give you some kind of carnal benefit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit here and make your battle easier. That's not the compassion we're talking about. We're talking about spiritual compassion. I mean, helping someone see the real issue, so they can get past what they're going through. This person's sick. They need this herb right here. And I know the herb, I'm gonna let this person stay sick. You know, I'll just give them more aspirin. That's what the medical industry does. They give you medicine
For the symptom.
for the symptoms. Well, are you coughing? Yeah, okay. I got something for coughs. You have a fever? I got something for fevers. Knowing that you have a deeper problem. You have a deeper issue. Your body's reacting. The fever and the cough is a reaction to a real sickness. They don't solve the real sickness. They just deal with symptoms. So when it comes to compassion, I'm supposed to have compassion on people and alleviate their suffering based on helping them at the root. The root issue.
So is this compassion? I feel you, dog.
No. I hear you.
I hear you.
I hear you.
Sympathy.
No, bro. You know, he says, who can have compassion on what?
The
Who got it?
Who can have compassion on the ignorant?
The ones that don't understand, that don't know what they're doing wrong, that are constantly in error. Read on.
And on them that are out of the way.
And those that have gotten off the path of righteousness. Read on.
For that he himself.
It says, but those that can have true compassion can recognize what?
For that he himself also is compassed with the infirmity.
It says that he himself also is compassed with what?
Infirmity.
So those that actually can be the most compassionate people are those that can recognize the fact that they are full of mistakes and errors as well. So people that sit in a position that are high and mighty, that I'm error free, I'm sin free, I'm guilt free, I'm guiltless, I don't make the mistakes that other people make. People that sit in hypercritical positions don't really have true compassion because they can't even see themselves. They can't see the flaws within themselves. So he says those that can have real compassion are those people that don't live a lie. They know they make mistakes. They know they're full of errors. They know they fail just as much as the next man is failing. It's not necessarily the Me Too movement that we see today, but for the fact that I want to see a change, not just join the bandwagon and not just hold hands and complain, but I actually want to see you do better because I know what that feels like because I have the same issues, or I have pity on you within that issue. So I want to alleviate that issue, and that's what a real priest, a high priest, should do. Not just perform the sacrifices like I taught you, I told you, I read this to you, we read the Bible together. Why you still got this problem? Why haven't you changed? You know, you ever notice how even husbands do that? Fathers do that to children? Mothers do that to daughters and sons? Why you still got this problem? How come you ain't read yet? Boy, you don't know how to read? You ain't read yet? That's what you go to school for. As if you ain't never had a hard time in school. As if you just mastered school. Boy, what's your problem? Slapping the hell out you. Sit down and read. What's your problem? Boy, you dumb as a box of rocks. But you never been in that position. But mama, you dropped out, mama. Boy, I had to. I had to go to work, boy.
Don't you say that. Don't you say, boy.
You ain't got no compassion. I had to. I had to pay bills, raise a family. But as if you had, but people are disconnected. See, people that are disconnected from other people, they don't see nor remind themselves or have an honest inventory of their own flaws and mistakes and errors. Therefore, I'm disconnected with the other people. I'm disconnected with the people around me. Because that's your problem that you got. That's not my problem.
And it's almost as if I have a flaw, I will lie about my flaw to cover it up, to forget about it. But I see another person's flaw, I'll hold them hostage on their flaw.
Absolutely. I'll never let them live it down. I'll never let them live their flaws down because I don't see myself as having that flaw. I see them as having that flaw. So I can always show you what's wrong with you, but while I'm showing you what's wrong with you, there's no compassion associated with it. You had your hand up. Okay. Read on.
And by reason hereof he ought.
It says, and if a priest that's doing the sacrifices and atonements for sins for the rest of the people, he can do his job two ways. He can do his job detached and slay this goat, and I'm going to do this sacrifice for them, or I'm going to do this sacrifice with purpose. He says, therefore, verse 3 says what?
And by reason hereof,
It says, and this high priest, for this reason, thereof, what?
He ought. As for the people,
He was built for the people. He was ordained from the Most High. Somebody watch her from slamming the door. She can slam her fingers in the door. He said, he was ordained what?
As for the people,
cut that light on in there if you can.
He said, for he was
verse 3.
And by reason hereof he ought.
Is that light
as for the people,
I think it's out.
Somebody grab that lamp that's in the back. That black one with the bulb that's still in there. Somebody grab that lamp.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
And by reason hereof
By
he
reason
ought.
hereof, come.
It says, for this reason, as a high priest, he's able to what?
As for the people, so also for himself to offer for sin.
So not only was the high priest in there doing the sacrifices to recover the mistakes of the people, he was also in that sanctuary recovering who else's mistakes?
The people.
No.
So.
You got to read it again. You shy, stay with me.
Okay.
You're getting lost right there. Go ahead, read it again.
And by reason hereof he ought. As for the people, so also for himself to offer for sins.
He says also he knew that he was in there sacrificing them animals, not just for the people, meaning he wasn't detached. Somebody that has the people in mind are not detached from the people. They know that I also need these sacrifices. I need these sacrifices just as much as these people need these sacrifices. This is not that mind frame, that self-righteous mind frame that we was talking about earlier. See, that self-righteous mind frame detaches you from the rest of the people. But when you do a healthy inventory of yourself, and you're very aware and keen, and you don't just listen to yourself, and you know that you have just as many flaws as the next man, you also be in there performing sacrifices, not just for the people, but also for who?
For himself.
I'm doing this for myself as well. Meaning I embrace the fact that I'm not righteous. I acknowledge the fact that I'm not righteous. I need this just as much as these people need this. I need this sacrifice and this atonement just as much as I'm doing it for them. I need it too. I'm just as guilty. See, that's the right mind frame to have for anybody in any kind of position as a leader. Whether you're a parent, a brother, a sister, a father, a mother, a elder, a tutor, you're just as guilty. See, people that don't feel like they're just as guilty, and their perspective is always one-sided, and their lens is always foggy. They can always see the contradictions of other people, but they can never see the contradictions within themselves. There's something that they lack also. People that can't see other people, or that see other people but not themselves, one thing that they lack heavily is that people that are hypercritical are rude. People that are hypercritical are isolated. People that are hypercritical are not really understanding. People that are hypercritical, they don't really have a good awareness or inventory of themselves, but they damn sure can show you where you're wrong at. But they lack empathy. They lack compassion. They lack understanding of other people's suffering. They're disconnected from people. And there's no mystery in that. Because I can't see my own flaws. See, when you learn how to analyze yourself and do a self-awareness evaluation, a mental and spiritual evaluation, to know that you're full of crap, you'll treat people a little bit different. You're more understanding to people. You're more merciful to people. Because you know you're just as guilty. But that non-guilty mentality, me and people just don't get along. Me and people just don't see eye to eye.
And they say it's better to buy a dog.
Yeah. Me and people just, I don't like people.
Yeah, I don't like people. I like dogs. Or I like animals.
Yeah.
You see this all the time. It's the same spirits.
Yep. Read on.
And no man taketh his honor unto himself, but he that is called of the Most High, as was Aaron.
It says, and no man calls this honor unto himself, meaning nobody can put themselves just because they say, I want to be a priest. I'm going to make myself a priest. You had to be of the bloodline of Aaron to be a priest. You just can't walk into that position because you say, I want to be in this position. You was chosen, the priest, previous priests in the Old Testament was chosen because they came from the bloodline of Aaron. They were only selected out of that bloodline. Christ is a little different. Read.
So also, Christ glorified not himself.
It said, but also, Christ wasn't of the bloodline of, he wasn't a Levite. Christ was a what?
Judah.
He was a Judite. But even though Christ was a Judite and not necessarily a Levite, he still possessed the compassion that a priest, a Levitical priest, was supposed to have by also sacrificing and for his own mistakes and atoning for his own mistakes. He had a healthy awareness that, you know what, I don't do my own will, I do the will of the Father that sent me. And I'm doing this for the people. It's not for me. So even though he wasn't a Levite, he had the mind frame to step outside of himself and still recognize that I'm ordained to be for men, just like the Levitical priesthood was ordained for men. Christ understood he was there for the men, for the people. And it wasn't about him. It was about the people. You know one thing that made him special was the fact that he became the perfect mediator, even better than the Levitical priesthood. Because although he wasn't the Levite, he possessed a compassion that not even the Levites possessed. That not even the priest always possessed. Because in Hebrews 8, it talks about the priests started going through the motions. They started just going through the motions of doing the setting up the tables and doing the ordinances of the Most High.
It was ceremony.
It was just ceremonial. It wasn't really like I'm doing this with the mind frame that I got to get these sins off these people. I'm just doing this as a job.
And that's the scary thing when becoming an Israelite and doing involving them in a marriage and a brotherhood, and things are solely ceremonial, solely routine.
Traditional, routine.
Tradition, routine. It's just the day. It's the flow of the day. I'm not putting my spirit in saying this is for my repentance with the Father. It's just another day. I'm just going through the motions. I'm just doing what I do. It's just the same routine.
I really want to pull the spirit off. I really want to see change in this person. Not saying, like, after I sacrifice this lamb, this man been stealing, so I got to sacrifice this dove, this ram, this ox, this bullock. This man been stealing, I do the services. But I'm saying to myself, man, this dude gonna do this shit again. He'll be right back next week. You gonna steal again. Get out of here. You gonna steal again. No, I actually want to see you not sin no more. I actually want to see you recover yourself from that error. I actually want to see you not be guilty of these things. There's a compassion attached to my job that doesn't always attach to other people's job. Where other people's job I'm just doing this until I can find something better.
You're like washing dishes.
I'm just buying time. I'm not doing this with my heart in it because I need this just as much as you need this. I'm just doing this for y'all. I'm just here to help y'all. Okay. I'm just here to help y'all. Oh, you don't need this too? Oh, you don't need atonement? You don't need to put in no sacrifices?
You don't owe the Most High nothing.
You don't owe the Most, you're not guilty? See, there's a detachment there. Because I can't see myself. Because I'm blind from within. But that wasn't Christ. Christ was a better priest. Because he actually cared about the people. He wanted to see the Spirit come off of them. Read. Who got it? You got it?
Okay. And no man taketh his honor unto himself, but he that is called of the Most High, as was Aaron.
Read.
So also Christ glorified not himself to be made an high priest, but he that said unto himself, Thou art my son. Today have I begotten thee.
So he says, so also Christ glorified not himself to be made an high priest, but he that said unto him, Thou art my son, today have I begotten thee. He's showing that he was able to please the Most High in that position of a priest. He was able to please the Most High for atoning for sacrifices for the people, because he committed himself to the people, even though he wasn't a Levite. He still was able to deliver the Most High sacrifices that was pleasing to him, because he cared about the people. He wasn't detached like some of us that are detached from each other, because I can only see your problem, but I don't think I'm guilty of anything. This same detachment existed within the Pharisees. Go to John chapter 3. Or Matthew chapter 3, I'm sorry. Matthew 3 and 5. Did you have that? Who had that?
I had a verse after that.
Okay, Matthew chapter 3, verse 5. Let's continue.
Matthew chapter 3, verse 5.
Yep. Read that.
Then went out to him Jerusalem, and all Judea, and all the region round about Jordan, and were baptized of him in Jordan.
So this is John the Baptist baptizing people in Jordan. Read on.
And were baptized of him in Jordan, confessing their sins.
And we also know that this was the spirit of who?
Christ.
Elijah. This was the spirit of Elijah returned as John the Baptist. So he was baptizing people for what?
Baptized of him in Jordan, confessing their sins.
Doing what?
Confessing their sins.
Read on.
But when he saw many of the Pharisees,
he said, but when John the Baptist, or we also know that was Elijah's spirit in John the Baptist. Read on.
But when he saw many of the Pharisees and Sadducees come to his baptism, he said unto them,
Go ahead.
O generation of vipers.
He said, O generation of what?
Vipers.
Read on.
Who have warned you to flee from the wrath to come.
Read on.
Bring forth therefore fruits, meet for repentance.
He says, you got to bring forth fruit meet for what?
Repentance.
Why is he saying this? Why would he tell them that? Why would John the Baptist tell the Pharisees this?
Because they didn't think they needed to repent.
Show us your honesty.
He said, show us your honesty, because they didn't
think they needed to repent.
They didn't see their own mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
The problem that Christ or John the Baptist had with the Pharisees is that they couldn't see themselves. They could only see what's wrong with other people. They didn't have no acknowledgement that they were just as guilty as the people. They had no acknowledgement that I do the same thing that the people do. I'm detached from the people because I can only see their mistakes, but I don't see my mistakes. Read on.
And think not to say within yourself.
And think not to what?
To say within yourself.
Because a lot of people say within themselves what? Not so bad. I'm not that bad.
A lot.
You have these issues. I don't got those issues. You got problems. I don't got no problems. My problems are few. Yours are many. Really. A lot of people can always have the lens of seeing other people with scrutiny, with precision.
Yeah, that's true.
But they cannot see themselves for the life of them. They cannot see what's wrong with them. Read.
We have Abraham to our father.
All I need to know is that I'm an Israelite. That's good enough for me. Am I an Israelite? God. So that's good enough for me. I'm of the seed of Abraham. I got Abraham's blood flowing in my veins. I'm good. No, you're not. Just because you're an Israelite, that's great. That's just the beginning.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean because you know you're an Israelite that the conversion has been started.
It's accomplished.
No, it doesn't mean that. That doesn't mean you've been converted because you know you're a Jew. Because you know you're a Hebrew. That doesn't mean you've been converted. Your heart or mind has not been converted yet. That's why it says, don't just think that because you got Abraham, meaning you know who your forefathers are, that you could just slide into salvation by your lineage, by your genealogy. No.
Genealogically got to the kingdom. Right?
Yeah. They're not doing. The angels are gathering up all those that offend.
Yeah.
They're not doing blood checks in the kingdom. Like, oh yeah, Well, they're doing that. They are doing that too, but they're gonna separate the wheat from the tares. But he said they're pulling out all those that offend. Have you been an offender? You could be a Jew, but you could be an offending Jew. You could be an offending Hebrew. That doesn't mean that you got a fleshly heart because you're a Jew. You need more than that. And that's what John the Baptist is telling the Pharisees. You need more than just the knowledge that you're comfortable with possessing. The fact that you are of the seed, and that's good enough. That's not good enough. Read.
Matthew chapter 3, verse 9. And think not to say within yourselves, we have Abraham to our father.
And don't think to say within yourselves what?
We have Abraham to our father.
Go ahead.
For I say unto you, that the Most High is able of these stones to raise up children unto Abraham.
The Most High could raise up rocks to be from the bloodline of Abraham. That means nothing. The fact that you know you're an Israelite doesn't mean anything. Yes, sir.
Offending, is that deliberate?
It could be deliberate, or it could be accidental. Go to
Accidental.
Yeah, go to Deuteronomy 23. Hold on. Go to Deuteronomy 19. Start at verse 4.
Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 4. And this is the case of the slave, which shall flee thither,
Thither.
that he may live.
It says, and this is the case of the slayer, meaning I killed somebody, but I didn't mean to do it. It says, that, but the Most High put this law in place and this provision in place because there was no ill intention behind it. There was no maliciousness behind it. There was no premeditation behind it. Read.
Whoso killeth his neighbor ignorantly.
He said, whoso what?
Killeth his neighbor ignorantly.
I could have killed my neighbor how?
Ignorantly.
Meaning, I could have been chopping wood, and the axe head comes off the axe, and it flies to my neighbor, hit him in the head, and he dies. I didn't try to do it. That wasn't something purposeful, but I damaged him. I hurt him by accident. You know how many brothers do things by accident, but it's not taken as an accident? You know how many times, especially, if you want to see that dynamic come into play, all you have to do is live with somebody. And you will watch how many things that are deliberate or how many things that are done that are not deliberate but are proposed to be deliberate, and how many arguments and debates and strifes and contentions start because it was a misinterpretation of you did this on purpose. You see it with kids fighting. You hit me. Even though it was an accident, they ran into each other, they hit heads, bumped heads. You did it on purpose. No, it wasn't on purpose, it was an accident. You see people living together in different circumstances, in marriages. You know, you hid my keys from me. I didn't hide your keys. You lost your keys. No, you didn't. You didn't want me to take the car. That's why you hid the keys from me. Like, man, you'd be surprised how people do things that it's taken to be deliberately, but it's not. It's an accident. But the Most High has to put in laws in place because some things are done, offenses are done by accident. And let me finish and I'll come back to you. Read that.
As when a man goeth into the wood with his neighbor to hew wood.
Go ahead.
And his hand fetcheth a stroke.
Meaning he's chopping wood, he's lumberjacking, cutting down some trees. Go ahead.
And his hand fetcheth a stroke with the axe to cut down the tree. And the head slippeth from the help.
He said he's using this for an example. That's not always going to be the case of an accidental killing, but he's using this as an example of what is an accidental killing. When he's using this for an example. The man is chopping wood. He's not thinking about who's behind me. He's not thinking about there's somebody 10 feet away from me. He's just cutting. He's focused on the tree. Boom. The axe head comes off, flies, does what? Read.
And lighteth upon his neighbor.
And it lighteth upon his neighbor, meaning it fell on his neighbor. Read on.
That he died.
Go ahead.
He shall flee unto one of those cities and live.
So because that wasn't ill-intended, there was no maliciousness behind it. It wasn't with malignity. It wasn't out of ill intent. It was no ill regard. It was purely an accident. But the scripture does say, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a life for a life. So here the Most High is saying that that man wasn't intending to hurt that man. It wasn't intentional. It was innocent, but its damage still happened. So therefore, let that man flee to another city so he can have his life continue living, but not be held accountable for that murder. There's still a consequence. But normally the consequence would be blood upon blood. Blood for blood. But now this situation, this man can still live his life, but he just can't be around his people. He's isolated from his family. He's got to go to a city of refuge. Because certain things happen that are not always planned for.
This would be manslaughter.
That would be manslaughter, not murder.
Involuntary.
Involuntary manslaughter. I mean, I didn't want to do it, but it happened. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So he'll get pulled out of line for that.
Yeah, there's still a consequence. There's still a consequence for that. But it wasn't intentional. See, if it was intentional, then that man got to die.
So he'll get pulled out of line for something that was unintentional, that's beyond your control.
Say it one more time.
So he'll get pulled on the.
You got to speak up, because I want the camera to hear you.
He'll get pulled out of line for something that was unintentional, that was not in his control.
When you say pulled out of line, what do you mean?
That analogy you used earlier with the angels and the blood
Pulled out of
test,
the city.
Israelite, you gotta make it, but.
Well, we was using that. I was using that to say how the confidence that the Pharisees possessed
Right.
was the fact that I know I'm an Israelite and that's good enough.
Right.
And that's not good enough. That means there's other things that I got to do in order to be acceptable and pleasing to the Most High. Not just bank on the fact that I'm an Israelite alone. Being an Israelite alone is not enough to secure your position with the Most High.
We have Abraham to our father.
Right. The Pharisees saying Christ understood the confidence of the Pharisees.
Right.
Their confidence was on the fact that I'm an Israelite because I'm from the seed of Abraham, so I'm acceptable to the Most High, and I can treat you however I want to treat you because I'm an Israelite. And as long as I know that, that's all that matters. How I actually treat you doesn't matter. How I actually work with you doesn't matter. How I view you as a man doesn't matter. I know I'm an Israelite. I did my job, and if you die because you sinned, so be it. It was completely callousness callousness without the regard of a consequence. So they felt like they could treat the people however they wanted. Now, to prove that even further, but first go to Titus 1:16, and then Matthew 23 and 23. Somebody read Titus 1:16. Somebody else go to Matthew, and I hope this helps with that question that you're asking. Yeah, hold that where you at. Somebody read Titus 1:16. Read that, and then go to Matthew 23 and 23. Read that.
Titus chapter 1 and verse 16. They profess that they know the Most High.
A lot of people, because I know I'm an Israelite, a lot of people make the claim, I know I'm a Hebrew Israelite, I know I'm a Jew, and I know the Father. So they feel like that gives me the green light, and that gives me the get out of jail card to treat people however malicious that I want, however callous that I want, with whatever nature that I want, whatever disgust or rudeness that I want. Just because I know I'm an Israelite and I profess I know the Most High, that doesn't mean that the Most High is accepting of me as a person. It's not good enough. He said they profess that they know the Most High. Read on.
But in works.
But in what?
But in works.
But so the Pharisees, yeah, they knew their job. They knew the law. They knew the law like the back of their hand. That's why Christ said, do as they say, but not as they do. He said, because in works they do what?
But in works they deny him.
They do what?
They deny him.
So even though I know my job, I know my lineage, I know my background, I know my bloodline, I know I'm a Hebrew Israelite, that's great. But that doesn't mean that through my works I'm showing that I love the people and that I'm really committed to the Most High, and that's based upon how I treat people. I can still be a Hebrew, but treating people with disgust. I can still be a Hebrew treating people unfairly. That doesn't give me clearance to treat people however I want. He says, but in works they what?
They deny him.
Read on.
Being abominable.
Being what?
Abominable.
Go ahead.
And disobedient.
Go ahead.
And unto every good work reprobate.
And they don't have no good works. I mean, I could be an Israelite, but my works are no good. Why are my works good? In this particular case with the Pharisees, go back to Matthew 23 and 23. Somebody else give me Luke 18 and 9. Somebody else give me John chapter 4 verse 6.
I got Luke.
Matthew 23 and verse 23.
Read that.
Woe unto you, scribes.
It says destruction unto you. What?
Scribes and Pharisees.
Why? Why did Christ say destruction unto you, scribes and Pharisees? Read
hypocrites.
On. Why did he call them hypocrites? Play actors. Read on.
For ye pay tithe of mint.
Because you give the Most High the smallest offering. Read on.
And anise.
Read on. Which is, a star anise is fennel. Fennel seeds are tiny, bro. Fennel seeds, they're like sesame seeds. They ain't no bigger than sesame seeds. He said you give the Most High the smallest sacrifices. Because you don't think you're that bad. Because you don't think you need to give Most High more sacrifices. You pay the Most High the smallest sacrifice because you don't see yourself that bad as a person. So you give the Most High the least. Read on.
And cumin.
Cumin seeds, real small. Read on.
And have omitted the weightier matters.
But you don't consider the things that the Most High really values. Being a Pharisee or a scribe, you know the law, but that's not that important compared to what the Most High really wants out of a man or a woman. Read on.
And have omitted the weightier matters.
What are the heavier, weightier matters? Read on.
Of the law.
Such as what? Read.
Judgment.
Meaning you don't know how to treat people right. See, I can be a Hebrew, but I don't know how to talk to people. I can be a Hebrew, I don't know how to treat people. I can be a Hebrew, but I can have no spiritual discernment. Read.
Mercy.
And I can be a Hebrew Israelite, but I can also lack what?
Mercy.
I can be a Hebrew Israelite, and I can lack compassion. And this is what Christ said, man, you're a hypocrite. You give the smallest sacrifices because you don't see yourself that bad, but you're hell on high water when it comes to other people's mistakes. Read on.
And faith.
And you don't have no what?
Faith.
Because you believe that in your bloodline, your strength is the fact that you know you're a Jew. but you really don't know the Most High. Read on.
These ought ye to have done.
He said you should have put more emphasis on judgment. You should have put more emphasis on mercy. You should have put more emphasis on faith than giving some fennel, some star anise, and some cumin. Go ahead. And he said these you should have done. Go ahead.
And not to leave the other undone.
Next verse.
God. Luke chapter 18 verse 9. And he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves.
He says, see, a lot of people, they trust in their own righteousness.
Yeah.
And that's problematic. It's problematic when you only trust in your righteousness, and you could see what everybody else is doing wrong, but you can't see yourself. That's a problem. That's an unjust lens. That's a crooked lens. I can see everybody else's mistakes, but I can't see my own. Read it again.
God. And he spake this parable unto them which trusted in themselves, that they were righteous and despised others.
It says Christ put together a parable for people that can't see themselves but only see mistakes in other people. This whole parable was created for those self-righteous individuals. Those individuals that feel like that they're the one. They're the righteous one. These are the ones that only listen to themselves.
That guy.
These are the ones that only counsel themselves. These are the ones that only trust themselves. These are the only ones that can't hear, that are blind, whose eyes are blind, ears are dull, and their heart is waxed gross, that Christ was talking about in Matthew from the beginning of the class. They don't believe anybody. They don't believe what other people say. They only believe themselves. They only hear themselves. They only trust themselves. They They don't look outside themselves. Yes, sir.
How would they have faith? How do they lack faith when it comes to judgment, or how does faith apply here?
Meaning,
I get the mercy part.
meaning if I have the faith of Christ, that means that I have this ability. Go to 1 John chapter 4. And I want you to read start at verse start at verse 5.
1 John chapter 4, verse 5. They are of the world.
He said the Pharisees, they said they are of the world. Read on.
Therefore,
Or people that can't see themselves are of the world. He said, go ahead.
therefore speak they of the world.
Because the way they operate and the way they treat people is of the world. It's not of the Most High. Read.
And the world heareth them.
Read on.
We are of the Most High.
It says we are of the Most High. How do I know that you're of the Most High? How does anybody know that they're of the Most High? How do you know you're really operating in a capacity where you're in the spirit of the Most High? Because the Pharisees thought they was right by the Most High. But he said something's wrong with their faith. And we'll come back to that too. Read.
We are of the Most High. He that knoweth the Most High.
It says, for anybody that thinks they know the Most High, or if you profess that you have knowledge of the Most High, read on.
He that knoweth the Most High heareth us.
Read on.
He that is not of the Most High heareth not us.
And how do you know this? Read on.
Hereby know we the spirit of truth.
He says because some people possess the spirit of truth, and some people possess what? Read on.
And the spirit of error.
Some people possess the spirit of error. So there's the spirit of truth, and then there's a spirit of error. And he's gonna show you how the distinction between the spirit of truth, whether I'm serving the Most High the right way, or I'm serving the Most High the wrong way. What is the distinction between the spirit of truth and the spirit of error? How do I know that what I'm believing in or my faith is correct? He's going to explain. Read on.
Verse 7. Beloved, let us love one another.
How do you know I got the appropriate faith in God?
Let us love one another.
Because it's evident in my what?
Love.
It's evident in my love. That's how I know I'm believing the Most High the right way. Because my love that I have towards my brother and my people is appropriate. But if my love is not appropriate and equivalent to the love of God, then something's wrong with my faith. Then I'm believing in something wrong. I'm not believing in the Most High. If I don't know how to love, something's wrong with my faith. You know, I don't got the spirit of truth. I got the spirit of error. Something's wrong with my faith because I don't know how to love. That's the distinction. He says, therefore, if we love what?
Therefore, he says, beloved, let us love one another. For love is of the Most High.
That's how I know my faith is in the right place. Because I'm loving my people like the Most High loves me. Read on.
And everyone that loveth is born of the Most High and knoweth the Most High.
And then I know the Most High. See, we just read in Titus 1:16. Who had that? Who had Titus 1:16? Read that. Titus. He says, and that we know the Most High. This is how you know the Most High, and you're one with the Most High. Read that.
Okay. Titus chapter 1 and verse 16. They profess that they know the Most High.
A lot of people say they know the Most High, but how do they treat their fellow human being? No compassion, no mercy. What was that definition of compassion again? Who wrote it down?
Compassion
Deep sympathy.
A lot of people say they know the Most High. They profess the Most High. But they lack what?
Deep sympathy.
They lack deep sympathy. Go ahead.
For someone who is stricken with misfortune.
Somebody who's stricken with misfortune. Go ahead.
With a strong desire.
And they got a strong, they're attached with a strong desire. Go ahead.
To alleviate the suffering.
They got a strong desire to alleviate the suffering. See, a lot of people say they know the Most High, but they don't have no compassion, no mercy, no judgment, and therefore their faith is in a spirit of error. There's something wrong with their faith. They're not believing the Most High appropriately. Because if you really believe in the Most High the right way, it would reflect in your relationships. Your relationships declare your faith in the Most High. Because you would match the same love that the Most High has for the people and that Christ has for the people. You would have that same love. You would have the same compassion. You would have the same mercy. You would have the same judgment. And this is what Christ is attacking in Matthew 23 when he's calling the Pharisees hypocrites. Their love don't line up. Their love is not aligned. Although they say they know the Most High. Said, though they profess they know the Most High, read on.
But in works, they deny him.
Go ahead.
Being abominable.
Go ahead.
And disobedient.
Go ahead.
And unto every good work, reprobate.
Go ahead. That's it, right? Yeah. So, that's how you know something wrong with them. Something wrong with their love. Their love is contaminated. That's how you know something wrong with their faith. They don't know how to love nobody. Read on in that in John. 1 John.
Verse 7. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of the Most High.
Go ahead.
And everyone that loveth is born of the Most High.
Go ahead.
And knoweth the Most High.
Read on.
He that loveth not, knoweth not the Most High.
Go ahead.
For the Most High is love.
Read.
In this was manifested the love of the Most High toward us.
He said, and the Most High declared, he put forth facts, and he put forth evidence behind his love. He didn't just say, I love y'all. The Most High put evidence toward us. You know the evidence that the Most High put behind his love and the actions that he put forth behind his love? What did he do? Read on.
Because that the Most High sent his only begotten Son into the world.
So can we say that when the Bible says love not in word or in tongue, but in deed and in truth, that the Most High did the same thing? Did the Most High just say with his mouth, I love y'all? Or did he not put facts behind it and evidence behind it? Did he not send forth his own Son as proof that I love you? How much more should we be doing the same thing to one another? Read.
Because that the Most High sent his only begotten Son into the world, that we might live through him.
That we might what?
That we might live through him.
Go ahead.
Herein is love.
He said this is what love is. Read.
Not that we love the Most High, but that he loved us.
Go ahead.
And sent his Son to be the propitiation for our sins.
He says, now this should be every man's recognition, ability to recognize that God really does care about you. Not that it's because of what you've done first, but it's what he's done towards you first. And the magnitude of his love was displayed by giving his only Son, his beloved Son, to be an atonement and a sacrifice for your sins. This is the evidence behind the Most High's love. Read on.
Verse 11. Beloved, if the Most High so loved us, we ought also to love one another.
And what did the Pharisees lack?
Love. Compassion.
They lack judgment. They lack mercy. Or they lack compassion. They lack faith. What were they believing in then? They were believing that they were righteous. Now let's go back to Luke 18:9. Who had that?
Luke chapter 18, verse 9.
They were detached. Read on.
And he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves.
They were missing out on the big picture, man. Read on.
That they were righteous.
Go ahead.
And despised others.
See, somebody that feels like they're righteous, they also are going to lack compassion, judgment, mercy, and faith. They're going to lack these things also. How do you know that they lack it? Look at how they treat who?
Others.
Look at how it's evident in their relationships. All you have to do is look at their relationships. Look at their friendships. Look at their relationships. And it'll tell you whether somebody's appropriately serving the Most High. Yes, sir.
I was going to say too, man, when it says that they were righteous and despised others, that means deep in their mind, they were thinking of a low opinion of other people too.
Of course.
Their mind.
Of course.
That's crazy.
You know what? I'm detached because I can see y'all's flaws, but I can't see mine.
Like, even though they weren't like saying that out loud, in their mind they was thinking of a low opinion of somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let's find out. Read on.
Come, verse 10. 2 men went up in the temple to pray. The one a Pharisee and the other a publican.
A sinner. Read on.
The Pharisee stood and prayed, thus with himself. God, I thank thee.
He said, I thank thee. Go ahead.
That I am not as other men are.
He says, God, I thank thee that I am not as other men are. What did he do in this prayer?
I thank you that I'm not like them.
I'm not like them, man. I separate myself from them. I'm not one with their suffering. I'm not one with their issues. You know why I'm not one with their issues? Because I don't think I possess those issues. That's his problem, not my problem. They got problems, I don't.
And that goes back to Romans 3:10.
Yeah, there's none righteous.
Right.
Not one. But for those that think they're righteous, they don't see themselves as bad as other people. Neither do they put forth the sacrifices to atone for their own errors, just like the high priest did in Hebrews chapter 5, verse 1 through 3. Read.
What's that word?
He said,
Extortioners? How you say that?
He said,
extortioners, unjust, adulterers.
He said they're extortioners, they're unjust, they're what?
Adulterers.
They're adulterers. I never commit adultery. I never look on a woman of lust. That's not me. I see women, I flee. Read. Read.
Or even as this publican.
Or even like this publican. Read on. I'm detached, man. Read
I
on.
fast twice in the week.
I can only see what good I do.
Yeah.
I fast twice a week. Read.
I give tithes of all that I possess.
Man, I give tithes of everything that I possess. I give the Most High what He required. Read on.
And the publican, standing afar off, would not lift up so much as his eyes unto the heaven.
You know why? Because he felt like he was undeserving to look up towards heaven. There was humility there within that man. There was an acknowledgement of sin within that man. There was an acknowledgement of that man's mistakes, that he makes mistakes. It's the acknowledgement that I need the Most High really, really badly.
Wow.
Read.
But smote upon his breast, saying,
what?
God, be merciful to me.
Be what?
Be merciful to me, a sinner.
Because I'm a what?
A sinner.
Be merciful to me because I'm a what?
A sinner.
Read on.
I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalteth himself shall be abased.
Everybody that feels like they're not that bad, they don't sin that bad, but they can damn sure see other people sin. He said they're gonna be what?
Abased.
They're gonna be brought down. Read on.
And he that humbleth himself shall be exalted.
But he that can acknowledge that I'm a sinner, I can acknowledge that I make mistakes, I can acknowledge that I need Christ just as bad as everybody else, I'm just as guilty, shall be what?
Exalted.
Shall be brought up. It's perspective, man. A lot of us have some inordinate perspectives. We don't have a healthy perspective of our own mistakes and flaws. We don't have a healthy inventory of what we do wrong. But we damn sure see it in other people. That's unjust. The Most High is rocking with those that can see themselves and that's begging for mercy, that can acknowledge their flaws. That's what the Most High is rocking with. Not those that are detached from people. I'm detached from people because I can't see myself. Therefore, I don't have compassion. Therefore, I don't have mercy.
I can't possess it.
I can't possess it. I can't have what I can't see. That's why in Hebrews 5:2 it said what? Who can have compassion on the ignorant and them that are out of the way? For he himself is compassed about with what? Infirmities. I know I got problems. And my problems are heavy. I know I'm in debt to the Most High because I know I made a lot of mistakes. My mistakes are heavy. I know I'm wrong because I've been guilty. I lived in error. I'm a sinner. See, I'll miss those ingredients if I don't have a healthy inventory of myself. John chapter 4. Start at verse 6.
John chapter 4 and verse 6. Now, Jacob's well was there. Yahushua therefore, being weary with his journey.
Now Christ was at Jacob's well. Been working all day, walking all day. He was a little tired. He was weary with his journey. Go ahead.
Sat thus on the well.
He sat on the well. Go ahead.
And it was about the 6th hour.
It was about the 6th hour. Now what's the 6th hour?
6 o'clock.
Mm-mm.
Oh. 6 a.m.
12 noon.
Oh,
12
6
noon.
hours after the sun rises.
Yeah, exactly. 6 hours, 12 noon. So it's the heat of the day. Rush noon. Sun is beaming on top of your head. Read.
There cometh a woman of Samaria.
He said, there cometh a woman of Samaria. Go ahead.
To draw water.
She was going down she was about to pull some water up. Read on.
Yahushua saith unto her.
Now, Yahushua could have waited for his disciples to come back, or he could have just drew the water himself. But what I love about this situation is that Christ always uses a situation for a lesson. There's a lesson in everything. He said this woman came to draw water. Go ahead.
Yahushua saith unto her, give me to drink.
He said what?
Give me to drink.
He said, give me some water. Now, based on everything we just read so far in the class, let's find out what this woman's mind is at. Read.
For his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, how is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me?
What does she lack?
Understanding.
Nope. Based on everything we read so far, she lacked what? She lacked compassion.
Compassion.
This woman lacked compassion. All he asked this woman to do was give him some drink. Why couldn't she just say kind? Why couldn't she just stoop down in the well and bend over and get the damn water? She was going to get water anyway. How couldn't she do it for him? She lacked what?
Compassion.
She lacked compassion. Strike one. Read on.
God. How is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which I am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans.
Oh my goodness. Read.
Yahushua answered and said unto her,
we don't deal with y'all. The Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. We don't deal with each other. She didn't have no what?
Compassion.
They had no compassion. Read.
Verse 10.
What does Luke 6 and 36 say? I might be wrong on this verse, but read it anyway. Somebody read Luke 6 and 36.
Luke chapter 6, verse 36.
Be ye therefore merciful.
Yeah, read that.
Be ye therefore merciful.
It says at all times you should be what?
Merciful.
Why?
As your Father also is merciful.
You should be matching the equivalence of the Most High's mercy. Every opportunity should be a chance to do what?
Righteous.
Merciful.
To be merciful. This was a chance for the woman to be merciful. But she held on to her tradition. She said, no, we don't have no Jews that have no dealing with Samaritans. How are you, being a Jew, asking me, a Samaritan, for something to drink? She used the difference as an excuse to why she didn't have to be merciful. She had her built-in reasons why she didn't have to be merciful. Read on.
John?
Yeah, go back to John 4.
Okay. John chapter 4 and verse 10. Yahushua answered and said unto her, If thou knewest the gift of the Most High, and who is that saith to thee, Give me to drink, thou wouldest have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water.
Go ahead.
The woman saith unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep.
Strike two.
Yo.
What's the problem?
There, what, faith?
She made an excuse. Faith without works is
Yeah,
dead.
she made an excuse.
Oh.
She said what?
The woman saith unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with.
She said, I don't got nothing to draw with. And what else?
The well is deep.
Mark 10 and 27 says what? I don't got nothing to draw with. The well is deep. But wasn't she coming to get water anyway?
10 and 30.
Mark 10 and 27.
Mark chapter 10, verse 27.
So this woman already got strike one. She already used the fact that we don't see eye to eye. Therefore, I shouldn't have to give you no water to drink. Then she said, she made an excuse. I don't got what it takes to give you something to drink. Read.
Mark chapter 10, verse 27. And Yahushua, looking upon them, saith, With men it is impossible.
Go ahead.
But not with the Most High.
See, if you really believe in the Most High, read on.
For with the Most High,
go ahead,
all things are possible.
So it's based upon your faith. You can give what you can give if you got enough faith. If you got enough belief, it's possible. This woman could have gave Christ something to drink. She was making excuses and she was using traditional differences. She was making up some stuff of why she didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
She didn't want to do it because she didn't have no mercy.
Yeah.
She didn't want to do it because she didn't have no compassion. Read on.
The woman saith unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep.
Go ahead.
From whence then hast thou that living water?
They said, where are you going to get this living water from? She didn't believe. Read.
Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle?
She doubted him. Read on.
Yahushua answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life.
Read on.
The woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water.
He said, give me this water. Now I want the water. Give me this water that you talking about. But she had a chance to be compassionate. She had a chance to be merciful. She chose not to. She had a chance to believe that she could do it. She chose not to. She had a chance to bypass the fact that he was a Jew, she was a Samaritan, as an excuse and a reason not to do it. She chose not to. But now all of a sudden she wants this water. Read on.
The woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not.
Go ahead.
Neither come hither to draw. Yahushua saith unto her, Go, call thy husband, and come hither.
You know what Christ showed her? He says, this water that I got to give you to drink has the power to give you everlasting life. Now, he asked her to do what?
Call thy husband, and come hither.
Go ahead.
The woman answered and said, I have no husband.
She said what?
I have no husband.
Strike three.
She lied.
She lied. Why is she not going to inherit everlasting life? Because she lives a lie. That's why. And anybody else that's living a lie won't get everlasting life either. See, you can lie to yourself, but you're only hurting yourself. You can lie and say, I don't have a husband. You can lie, but you're only hurting yourself. See, anybody that lives a lie and dishonest and don't have a healthy inventory of themselves are living a lie. Anybody that can't see their errors, all Christ did was expose this woman. You a damn lie. You ain't got no husband? You want me to believe you don't have a husband? I just told you I got the power to provide everlasting life. And you gonna throw a lie at me? She said, sir, I what?
Says, the woman answered and said, I have no husband.
Go ahead.
Yahushua said unto her, thou hast well said, I have no husband.
He says, you have well said. I heard what you said. You don't got a husband. Now, why would a person lie to themselves? Why would this woman lie and say, I don't got a husband? He said, I heard what you said. You well said. I heard you very clearly that you don't have a husband. Are you sure that you don't got a husband? Are you sure? Read.
Verse 18. For thou hast had 5 husbands.
Because you got what?
5 husbands.
Oh, you called her out.
Said thou hast had 5 husbands. Go ahead.
And he whom thou now hast,
and the one you got now, go ahead,
is not thy husband.
And the one you dealing with now is not your husband. You really want to believe that? But why is she living a lie? Go to Ecclesiastes 26 and 24. Why is this woman living a lie? Same reason why a lot of people live lies.
Ecclesiastes 26 and verse 24. A dishonest woman.
They said a dishonest woman does what?
Contemneth shame.
Read that correctly.
Contemneth. Right?
Contemneth.
Contemneth.
Read the definition of contemn or contemn. It says a dishonest woman will do what?
Contemneth shame.
A dishonest woman will contemneth shame. Contemn. Go ahead.
Definition of contemn in the 1828 Webster's Dictionary. Point number 1. To despise, to consider.
It says, you know why she lied to Christ? It says to despise or consider what?
And treat as mean and despicable.
Because she didn't see the value of Christ. And she didn't want to feel bad. To treat as mean, despicable, what else?
To slight, to neglect as unworthy of regard.
Because I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to feel bad about myself, so I live a lie. Because I don't want to feel bad. See, she could have told Christ the truth. You know what that question was? Go get your husband? That was just an opportunity to see what this woman was going to say.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like he didn't know. He just wanted to see, are you living a lie? And you don't want to acknowledge your mistakes? Because if this is what you're going to do, then how are you going to drink this everlasting water? That give this water that's wellspring that gives you everlasting life. How are you going to drink of this water? See, you can't drink of this water until you start being honest about yourself. You can't have this water because you live a lie. You live in your head. You want other people to believe what you believe about yourself. You can't sip this everlasting life. You can't drink of this water. To drink of this water requires you to be honest about your mistakes. To drink this water requires you to be honest about your sins. To drink this water requires you to be honest about your faults and your dirt That's how you get that everlasting life. You can't be walking around living a lie and thinking you're not that bad because you don't want to feel bad about the fact that you make errors and you make mistakes. He said a dishonest woman will contemn the shame. She don't want to feel shame. She don't want to regard her decisions as being piss poor. She don't want to look bad. She don't want to feel bad. But if you're going to get that everlasting life, you got to start being honest about who you are as a person and stop lying to yourself. Stop lying on the fact that you're not as bad as you think you are. You're going to miss out on that water. Just like Christ is telling this woman. Why are you lying? Are you sure you don't got a husband? Read that part again.
Con.
Not Ecclesiastes.
No.
Verse.
John chapter 4 and verse 17. The woman answered and said, I have no husband.
You know why she ran from correction. She didn't want to be corrected. That's why she just threw a lie out there. I don't want to be corrected. No, damn well she got 5 husbands. And another one she's dealing with right now, she talking about ain't her husband. She got 6 of them that she been dealing with. You loose. She real loose. But she don't want to feel bad. She don't want to be honest about her mistakes. And she don't want to be corrected. Read on.
Come. It says, Yahushua said unto her, Thou hast well said.
Man, are you sure? Read.
I have no husband.
Go ahead.
For thou hast had 5 husbands, and whom thou now hast is not thy husband.
Read on.
In that saidest thou truly.
He says, you speaking the truth? You telling the truth? What's the answer to that? What did the woman say?
The woman saith unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet.
How you know? How did you know?
How you know that? I think you.
Who told you?
You're a prophet.
You got to be a prophet. Because I ain't tell nobody. And when nobody going to get the truth out of me. And honestly, a lot of us aren't very different from this woman. Because a lot of us don't want to hear the truth about ourselves. And a lot of us don't want to hear the truth that we're adulterers and adulteresses. A lot of us don't want to hear the truth about the fact that we're full of crap and mistakes. A lot of us don't want to hear the truth, the fact that, you know what, I despise feeling guilty. I don't want to feel guilty or feel bad, so I evade correction. So I live a dishonest life so I can't evade correction. A lot of us aren't much different from this woman, especially if you don't have an inventory of yourself. You must be a prophet. Read on.
Come. Our fathers worship in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Yahushua saith unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father.
So you're missing out. You look at your integrity. You have none. Look at your lack of integrity. I asked you for a drink of water. You had no mercy. You had no compassion. I told you about what you're missing out on. You made excuses why not to give. And then when I gave you an opportunity to tell the truth, you chose to live a lie. You full of it. How many of us do the same thing? A lot of us do the same thing. We don't really look at ourselves clearly. And we want people to believe what we believe about ourselves, which is dishonest, which is a lie. We avoid correction because we don't want to feel bad. We don't want to embrace shame. So we avoid correction. So we skew the truth. We evade the truth. And we blow smoke bombs until somebody sees through the fog and sees us as we really are. And then and a lot of times we still don't want to hear it. I'm only admitting it because you got me. You got me, man. You must be a prophet. You got it. She still didn't acknowledge it though, did she? She said, "You must be a prophet." She didn't say, "Yes, I do have."
She never humbled herself.
She never humbled herself. She never humbled herself. Last verse, Ecclesiastes chapter 18, verse 6. Let's go there.
18 verse what?
Verse 6. Read that.
Constant.
We might read down a little bit.
Ecclesiastes chapter 18 and verse 6.
Page 80.
Read
As
that.
for the wondrous works of the Lord, there may nothing be taken from them.
Go ahead.
Neither may anything be put unto them.
Go ahead.
Neither
They said
can-
when you compare us to the Most High, man, we don't even compare, man. We're not even close to being on the level, the scale of being merciful, compassionate as the Most High. Man, we're a work in progress. We're not nearly as righteous in judgment and possess spiritual discernment and mercy and love that the Most High has. Man, we don't even compare. Read on.
Can I put a scripture on that?
Read. What you got?
Job 4 and 17.
Read that.
Shall mortal man be more just than the Most High?
That's a question. Shall mortal man be more just than the Most High? No. Not even close. Read on. No. Go ahead. I know what you got. Go
Shall
ahead.
a man be more pure than his maker?
Right. No. Can a man be more pure than his maker? No.
Oh, that's it.
That's the answer. No. But when you compare us to the Most High, we're really at a disadvantage to possessing what the Most High possesses. Read on.
Ecclesiastes 18 verse 6 from the top. As for the wondrous works of the Lord, there may nothing be taken from them.
Go ahead.
Neither may anything be put unto them.
Read on.
Neither
We
can
really
the-
can't add anything to the Most High. We can't make the Most High better. Not even close. Read on.
Neither can the ground of them be found out.
Go ahead.
When a man hath done, then he beginneth.
It said when a man starts this journey of trying to understand the Most High, go ahead.
Then he beginneth. And when he leaveth off,
And even after he makes it his whole life's pursuit to understand the Most High. Read on.
then he shall be doubtful.
He's still not sure if he understands the Most High. That's how far the Most High is away from us. In righteousness and integrity and love, compassion, mercy, all those things. Read on.
What is man? And whereto serveth he?
And that's why I come back and say, what is man? What is man? He said, whereto serveth he? Go ahead.
What is his good?
He said, what's good about a man? Read on.
And what is his evil?
And what's bad about a man? You know the best thing about it that a man can be is honest. One of the best things a man can be is honest and humble about himself and his flaws. And the fact that he needs to embrace what the Most High has to give him in order to be better. Read.
The number of man's days at the most are 100 years.
Man's time is short. Read on.
As a drop of water unto the sea.
It is really insignificant on a scale of time. Read on.
And a gravel stone in comparison of the sand.
Go ahead.
So are 1,000 years to the days of eternity.
Go ahead.
Therefore is the Most High patient with them.
It says, and this is why the Most High is what?
Patient with them.
See, the Most High knows that man is limited. Man is full of error. Man is full of pride. Man makes hella mistakes. Man lies to himself. Man lives a lie. He lacks compassion and empathy. The Most High see all the flaws of man. We just don't see it. But that's why the Most High is compassionate with men. But we don't even possess the same level of compassion that the Most High has for us with our fellow mankind and fellow neighbor and fellow brother and sister and our people. Read on.
Therefore is the Most High patient with them, and poureth forth his mercy upon them.
And this is why the Most High multiplies mercy, because he knows their limitations. We should also acknowledge our flaws and recognize other people's limitations, therefore also pouring forth mercy and compassion. Read on.
He saw and perceived their end to be evil.
Go ahead.
Therefore he multiplied his compassion.
Read.
The mercy of man is toward his neighbor.
And if you could recognize the compassion of the Most High and how you don't really deserve his love, but he gives it to you anyway, then you should be able to do what?
Extend that to your brother.
Then you should be able to do it to your brother. Yes.
So it kind of lends itself to the 7 times 70.
Yep, kind. Because you know what? The Most High didn't forgave me 70 times. 7. The Most High, how many times have the Most High forgiven my errors? See, but my ability to treat my brother right is based upon how I can recognize how the Most High loves me and I deserve nothing. See, but when I'm self-righteous, I abuse other people. When I'm hypercritical, I abuse my neighbor. When I'm hypercritical and there's a disconnection from my perspective of the multitude of flaws that I have, then I treat people cold. Then I'm cold-natured to other people. See, my treatment towards my neighbor is the measure to know how I view my sin in regard to the Most High. See, if I don't acknowledge my sin to the Most High, and my perspective of my mistakes isn't that I'm not that bad of a person, then I treat people kind of cold. You know what? You don't need mercy. I get to be hard on you. You don't need mercy. You know why? Because in my mind, I don't really need mercy because I don't really make that many mistakes. See, the most compassionate people can recognize that they're the worst people. And that they're full of mistakes and they have a desire to pull and empathize with recovering people out of their mistakes. So therefore, they're not detached to people. See, the more self-righteous that I think I am, the more colder and detached I am to my neighbors. It's an immediate reflection, a direct reflection of how I treat people, how I talk to people, how I treat people, how I empathize with people is a direct reflection of me and the Most High's relationship. So if I don't have a healthy inventory of my mistakes and my errors, then the people suffer. That's why the scripture says, "He that despises man, despises not man, but the Most High." Because the measurement of how I treat people is an indicator of how I see myself towards the Most High, or my inability to see myself towards the Most High. But it's a direct reflection. Read on.
God. The mercy of man is toward his neighbor, but the mercy of the Lord is upon all flesh. He reproveth, and nurtureth, and teacheth, and bringeth again.
And that's what we should do to our people. We should reprove them. We should nurture them. We should do what?
Teach them.
Teach them, and do what?
And bringeth again.
And not cut them off, but bring them back again. Show love to them. Because that's what we would want from the Most High, correct?
God.
Read on.
As a shepherd his flock.
And if has the Most High been a shepherd to us,
God,
then we should be a shepherd to our people. And if I'm blind from within and I can't see my mistakes, I'll make a crappy shepherd. I'll make a horrible leader. I'll make a horrible brother, a horrible wife, and a horrible friend. Because I can't see myself. So everybody around me suffers from my ignorance and my inability to embrace my mistakes. The people suffer around me. Any questions? Yes,
all based on how you see God, and really the knowledge of how He is.
How you can comprehend His love towards you
is a direct reflection on how you treat other people.
Absolutely.
And so on and so forth. Okay.
Sorry, I'm not trying to like open up anything really super deep, but so when it comes to like intention, like if someone offends another person and it's intentional, we talked about if it's unintentional, but if it is intentional, like you still owe them the same duty of that forgiveness and, you know, I guess reciprocating how you would want to be treated if you had done it to somebody else. Like, sometimes I'm in a situation and not like.
It's written in the Lord's Prayer. We don't often read the rest of it, but go to Matthew chapter 6, read verse 14 and 15.
Matthew chapter 6, verse 14. Whenever you're ready.
Read that.
It says, "For if ye forgive men their trespasses,"
meaning what they did to you, how they trespassed against you. Read on.
"your heavenly Father will also forgive you."
It says what?
"Your heavenly Father will also forgive you."
Read on.
"But if ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses."
So it's still based upon what?
Forgiveness.
Judgment,
The ability to forgive.
Judgment.
Mercy.
Mercy, yeah. All those.
The ability to forgive.
Yeah, but that ability to forgive is only based upon how I know how I need forgiveness and how I want forgiveness from the Father. See, when you have a better inventory of yourself, you treat people better. Naturally. The love of the Most High is manifested to the people around you. But if you're cold, rash, harsh, ill-natured, ill-tempered, rude, disrespectful, unmerciful, non-compassionate, that's because you don't really see yourself.
Like uppity people that look down their nose at everybody.
Because I don't see myself.
Better than everybody else.
Damn.
Yeah.
Any questions? All right. Imagine what point of walk we're done. Rise and face the east.
Good, that was good.
Yahweh Shemel Shai. Shemala Nawa. Aita. Abanawa. Shabashamayim. Kodash. Haya. Shemka. Yahweh. Malak with Ka. Raba'ah. Batazaka. Haya. Aisha. Rataza. Kawa. Haya. Bashamayim. Latananawa. Lacham. Kol. Yawam. Wasalachna. Kawathna. Kasalachna. What you know? What Tam you know? Say one. Bo. Shine out. Mayan. Ryan. Kaya. Lakar. Malak. Allah. What the Parah. Come on. Four corners.
Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Bakanao, Shalom, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Bakanao, Shalom, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua, the Wadi Yahweh, the Wadi Yahushua, all mercy, all compassion, all love, all piety, all wisdom, all knowledge, all understanding, all power, all praise, all glory, all might, all strength, all dedication is to Yahweh. All power from Yahweh. All power from Yahweh. In Yahushua's name we pray. The water. Aman. Men circle up. Let's have a seat. Saluting out the heavenly order. Yahweh. Wayah Shai. Wokesh Sha'ala. Men of Israel. Muslim. Iraq. Yahweh Shai. Turn face sisters. Sisters, please stand. Saluting out the daughters of Zion. Men of Israel. Muslim. Iraq.
Yajimata, dismissed. Fall up.
That's crazy right there.
Oh,
Take a light.